Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
quickly by William Doss. Guy Robertson and Giovanni Giocatalani now round out the top 10. That's Adelmo Jr. just taking it a bit easy as Mardeo goes back to the top. Nearly 2/10 clear at the top of the pile. Fantastic, fantastic stuff. Yep. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Apex Racing TV and welcome to Week 6 of the Radical Racing Challenge in Season 1 of 2023 here on iRacing. We're at the Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya in Spain, and it is a joy to be back watching these wonderful little cars rocket their way around this legendary Grand Prix circuit. We are running the horrendous? No, it's the cross between horrendous and torrential. But that horrible little chicane at the end of the lap is going to be run here tonight, and it's going to be great to see how these cars bounce around those curbs and how the drivers deal with it. We're partway through qualifying at the moment. We've got yours truly, Chaz Draker, on the comms, with Aaron Smith as well joining me in just a moment, and the wonderful Alex Simpson on production. As you can see, everybody qualifying now. It's Mario Medeo fastest at the moment from Ryan Clermont. Those two have been trading lap times since the start of the session. We've got Guy Robertson here, who's in car 10 P10 at the moment, hoping to improve on this lap, but he's not done any personal best sectors so far on this one. We've got a few drivers further down that are just about to finish laps that haven't yet put one on the board. Lucas Sousa Vieira and Fidel Aparicio. Mahid Garbawi is also going to put a time on. There is Aparicio. Where does he go on the board? No valid time by the look of it, and the number 18 car will start further down the order. Adelmo Jr. has gone 16th fastest, and it looks like there's only going to be a couple more moments left in the session. There's not really many cars out on track, actually. There's Lucas Sousa Vieira. He's just started his third lap, but they only get 2 laps in this session. Majid Gabawi is near the end of a lap-ish at the moment. It's in the last couple of corners, and here he is now in car 20, but the session has finished, so he's not got it in time, which means he will start way, way down the order and have to work his way through from the back. And there he is lining up in 20th position. Mario Medeo then starts on pole position alongside Ryan Clermont, with Nacho Salas and David Rolliston on row 2. Then we have Javier Garro alongside Gianluca Savi. Dave Hoogerland is alongside William Doss on row 4. Rodriguez is 9th alongside Guy Robertson. Then we have Giovanni Catalani, fantastic name, in 11th place alongside Johannes Zeigert. Behind them we have Steve Simpson in 13th place alongside Lawrence Reagan on row 7. Then it's Mattia Ferrazin, alongside Adelmo Jr. from Brazil. Then it's Soli Raitinen alongside Lucas Vieira, Fidel Aparicio, Majid Garbawi, Anthony Lagoye and Mark Zubarev in 22nd place. 22 cars on the grid tonight, and I'm happy to welcome in Aaron Smith. Aaron, back again for another Friday night. What can we expect around this circuit with these cars? Because it's a great combo in my eyes.
It is a fantastic combo, and these cars, unlike some of the other Formula cars that we've seen go around this track this season so far, like the 3.5s that we saw just a few weeks ago, these cars aren't too badly affected by the dirty air as some of those cars, so we should hopefully see a little bit closer racing, especially during that final sector, which we all know is horrible for wheel-to-wheel racing. And I think with this glorified field, we've got many people with different skill levels. I think we're going to see some very interesting battles up and down the grid.
We absolutely are, mate. We absolutely are. It's good to be back in the box with you again. And last time out at Rudskogen, we didn't have a big field of cars, but still we had a very entertaining race all the same. Not many of the same names from last time out, only a couple of them. One of them is Mario Medeo, though, who takes pole position. It's hard to miss him in that yellow and white machine, but I'm excited to see what he can do here. I think that the fact we've got such a big grid here, though, will certainly give us a lot to look at. The race is about to begin, though, and the 6th week in the Radical Racing Challenge in Season 1 of 2023 from Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya is underway. And hopping off the line from the second row of the grid, Nacho Salas gets a great launch. So too does David Rolliston. But Ryan Clermont from second on the grid goes absolutely nowhere. Catalani's dropped back a bit. So too has Robertson. But look, Nacho Salas moves over to the right-hand side. Tries to go down the inside for the race lead, but thinks better of it in the end. Although, going a little bit deep was Mario Medeo. As now they're still side by side as they go around turn 3. No, Medeo manages to get his nose just in front. Everybody taking it a little bit tentatively around here, but You and I both know, Aaron, these cars can be very fragile in the opening moments, so especially through a sector like that, you need to have your wits about you.
Yeah, this car is iconic for being, well, just a piece of paper, really. If you so much as think about going near a wall, it just bends into many, many different pieces. But yeah, same we saw last week. Medeo making another mistake into turn one. He's extremely lucky to keep that first place. But we've still got battles all up and down the grid, especially for that midfield position for 7th place right now. We've got cars going too wide into corners, which you would never think a car would even fit too wide through turn 7 and turn 8. And now we go through turn 9, this very iconic corner around the outside.
Wow.
Guy Robertson, that was a very impressive move on lap 1. Massive balls, as James Hunt would say.
Well, Adelmo Jr. has actually gained 5 places. That's the car behind him. So he's having quite a decent start, to be honest with you, but just not quite as good as some of the others. He's managed to get away pretty well, but this is the main battle near the front of the field. Nacho Salas and David Rolliston both getting past Ryan Claremont in the opening stages. Javier Garro is the next car behind him in 5th, and he has, well, basically he's the only car really that's still where he started the race. We've got somebody dropping down a few places. Mattia Ferrasin's had a bit of a moment, but look at the speed these things get down this horrendously long start-finish straight here at Catalunya. I've been lucky enough to stand in the pit lane there and look over the sort of crest down at the scenery in the background at sunset, and it's a gorgeous place to be. But boy, it's a long straight when you have to walk down to turn 1 for just a few photos.
I can imagine that very, very just agonizing walk, thinking it's so close, but actually it's very, very far away from me. But these guys going down the pit straight within a matter of seconds, and Rollinston, sorry, thinking going very wide through turn, I think that's turn 4.
Yeah. Very
strange line going through there. Not sure if he had an issue or just maybe locked a tyre, which these cars are known for. I mean, we've heard it from a couple of the guys over the course of these few seasons we've been streaming this, that if you lock a wheel in this car, it's pretty much game over for a few laps. But these guys definitely haven't locked a wheel. Lucas Savvy going for a move again into another corner, which you wouldn't expect a move to happen. Once again, proving my point earlier on that these guys can follow each other.
Yeah, they certainly can. There was Adelmo Jr. there sending it down the inside of Guy Robertson as well. This is Javier Garro making a move. Oh, goodness me, out of nowhere. Well, RKO indeed by Johannes Zeigert. He came in there literally like a wrecking ball. Javier Garro gets straight back on with it. Can't believe that car's still moving, to be honest. That was an absolute side swipe there. Pretty sure it was Johannes Zeigert. They just got absolutely clouted into Lekaixa. Unbelievable contact, though, but somehow Garro carries on, and he actually looks more feisty than he was beforehand. He's actually now already over the back of Lawrence Reagan and wants a piece of this.
Well, I mean, I was just talking about people locking up, and I think that was a bit of an over-exaggeration on that part. I don't really know how he messed up that badly going into turn 10, but maybe we can get a replay of that. Who knows? But yeah, as you said, Javier looking really racy with a car that, I mean, realistically, just doesn't look like it should be driving.
Yeah, that was, to be honest, I think that's one of those moments where what we saw there from Johannes, that sort of moment in a race is usually sort of beforehand involves the words, watch this. And then, yeah, tends to be famous last words. At the front, though, Mario Medeo, he's disappearing over the horizon. And typically, just as we've looked away from Lawrence Reagan, he's had a spin and he's off and out of the race and into the pits. That's typical. That always happens whenever I'm on a broadcast. We'll look at a battle for maybe even 2 or 3 laps in like an endurance race or something. As soon as we look away, it goes to pot. And yeah, now Javier Garro is going down the order as well. He's had some sort of drama. Here's a quick look back. This is Johannes Zeigert. This is into the final sector. He's going very slowly there in front of the 18 car Fidel Aparicio. I think this is just as he's recovered. Somehow the front of that car still resembles a Radical slightly as well, actually, Aaron. He's done a good job there.
Yeah, I mean, I really don't know. As we were just saying, these cars are so flimsy, and that was a huge impact. And everyone seems to be just as well as they were before, so maybe these ones aren't as flimsy as the old SR8s were, but I mean, they're probably still made of, I wouldn't say paper, but maybe wood. That's probably more fitting.
What's that corrugated card called? You know, that you get in the edge of Amazon boxes and other delivery places and, yeah, online shops. So here's Giovanni Catalani, and you may see just in front, well, there's the freebies. And he actually had to back out of that as well there because Javier Garro wanted to jump straight back on the circuit. Oh, Catalani was having a moment there by the look of it and went straight on and has now recovered-ish. But Mario Medeo, what a fantastic start he's had. It's looking nice and tidy in the opening stages, and he's just opening up that gap. He did a 141.19, fastest lap of the race last time round. Nacho Salas and pretty much everyone else in the field did their personal bests, but he was still a couple of tenths quicker.
Yeah, I mean, Medeo, as we saw last week, has really good pace, but I'm just a little bit worried about that consistency. As we saw, he can just sometimes lose it, just for no apparent reason. Just lose it for, again, just a random corner, random time during the race. Maybe during turn 1 he already got his mistake out of the way, but we'll have to find out over these next 11 laps. And Nacho Salas, on this lap anyway, he's been a tiny bit quicker. I think at the moment he's around 2 tenths up on Medeo so far. And yeah, going into this this final chicane, he seems to have a lot more pace, but this little battle going on for 15th place. Zyget on a little bit of a recovery. I think Javier has lost a few places again. I'm not sure what's happened to him. He was up in 13th place, and yes, Salas goes 2 tenths quicker than Medeo on that last lap. But there's Javier going for a move into the final chicane. Again, Javier just going for moves in corners where moves are not possible, it seems.
Well, it's certainly lively. People having to go wherever they want to. I mean, I always say it was mainly in response to the whole Max Verstappen-Lewis Hamilton incident at Silverstone in 2021 when people said, everyone knows you can't overtake there. And it's like, well, it's a racetrack. You know, you can overtake wherever you want. These racing drivers should not be told that there's certain corners they can't overtake at. That would absolutely kill racing. But these guys, yeah, they're certainly saying, right, let's try it absolutely everywhere. Here's Ryan Clement. Let's not forget he started on the front row of the grid in this race. And the man behind him, William Doss, started on row 4, actually. William started 8th on the grid. As further down the order, we've got Steve Simpson now suddenly dropping down a little bit as well. I think he's had some strife somewhere. But, yeah, there's a lot of shuffling and moving inside the top 10. Mainly, though, there's only 2 drivers that have really lost a bunch of places, other than the ones that were involved in the incident earlier on. And it's Ryan Clement, who we look at here, and Gianluca Savi, that have dropped 2 places each, and most other drivers in the top 10 have gained at least 3 places. I don't quite know how the maths on that works, but they've done a good job.
Yeah, fairly clean start as well. I mean, if anybody here has watched the Formula 3.5 race that we did have a few weeks ago, and even last season, they both had fairly chaotic starts, and when I mean chaotic, half the field got wiped out. And these guys really haven't smashed into each other apart from that incident at turn 10. But yeah, apart from that, it's been fairly clean so far. Nice, clean overtaking and rating from everyone. And we may get another one as Doss is going to get a very nice slip shim down this main straight. Don't know if it's going to be enough. Not quite. You want to be around 4 tenths of a second behind coming out of that final corner to go for a move. But he was just a tiny bit far back and would have been a very optimistic move going into turn 1. But Nacho Salas just pretty much on the pace right now. 3 tenths of a second quicker than Medeo on that last lap.
Yeah, solid lap indeed. He's doing a really good job. He's had a purple Sector 2 and Sector 3, with, of course, that fastest lap outright because of it. Sector 1 went the way of Mario Medeo, and now, after completing Sector 1, actually, Mario Medeo's done a purple Sector 1 on this lap as well now, so they're really trading sectors at the moment. It's great to watch, because we've got the intrigue of this chase going on between these 2 very, very quick drivers who seem to be fans of very bright colours, to be honest with you. We're not at the halfway point of this race yet, though, and we need to consider the fact that we both know that tyres can go off very, very quickly. You mentioned it before, Aaron. All it takes is one lock-up, and suddenly the tyres feel like absolute rubbish for a good maybe 2-3 laps. Maybe not that long lap like this, but still quite a while.
Yeah, and some of the drivers have explained it feeling just like the whole front split has just come off or something. The understeer that you get from this thing when you lock up a front tyre is just immense, and it will genuinely last for about a lap or 2. And during that time, you're just left a bit of a passenger. So these 2 really can't afford any mistakes right now. Salas seems to have the upper hand at the moment, as he is catching around 0.2 of a second or more per lap. And yeah, I do really like seeing the different types of driving styles that these two have. Medeo seems to focus more, from what I've seen so far, on getting a good exit out of a corner. But Salas goes for a little bit better entry speed. As you can see there, going two very different lines between these two, and it's just fascinating to watch.
Yeah, that's always the interesting bit, when you've got two drivers that are so close to the ultimate pace of the race, but you actually see them taking different lines through corners. You think, come on, what is the actual difference there? Who is making the difference up? There's been a bit of drama further back in the order, actually. Adelmo Jr., Javier Garro, and Mattia Ferrazin all having issues in the last sort of 30 seconds or so. Not quite sure who caused it or what went wrong for who, but still, there's been a lot of movement going on, and Sauli Raikkonen has been involved in that, I should say, as well, but he's still inside the top 10, so clearly some big parties going on a bit further down the order here, but everybody carrying on and surviving. Here's Johannes Zeigert, who had that massive T-bone in the opening lap or so. He's now still carrying on with what's left of the front end of that Radical, and he's just right behind now Fidel Aparicio. He's got Lucas Souza Vieira behind him, and the three of them are separated by about 0.6 of a second, and then Javier Garro is only another 0.8 ahead of them.
Yeah, I did say before the race started that I did think that midfield battle would be very, very close, as we've only got one split today, so it's not a lot of cars that actually signed up, but we have nearly a full grid of cars. I think it's around 24, the max we can get in these Radicals, and ooh, there's Zyka getting very squirrely, looking for a move on the number 18 car of Fidel Aparicio in 13th place. And Zyga, as you were saying, trying to get that car back up the field, as he was looking pretty feisty in that opening part of the race and just made that silly mistake going into turn 10, but he's going to go for a send into turn 1. A very optimistic send, and makes another love tap with another car. And that's one more incident to add to his tally today. Not a great race for him so far.
He's making a bit of a theme of that, isn't he, at the moment, is Johannes Zeigert. He's throwing it up the inside when he's not able to stop the car, unfortunately, but I love his confidence. Fair play. Here's Sauli Raikkonen behind unlucky 13 Mattia Ferrazin. Now these two have gained 6 and 7 places respectively. It's going to become 7 and 6 if Sauli gets past him. The two of them glued together now as they go up the hill towards Campsa, out of Wirth, and then down towards the Keksa. The hairpin at the end, I can never know how to pronounce it, so I'll just say it differently every single time. Running a little bit wide then through Campsa. That's going to ruin Raitinen's run. What's he going to be like on the brakes? Oh, just nice and chill, nice and chill. Although, well, it looked chill compared to Ferrazin, but that's because Ferrazin went in well too deep, and now all of a sudden Raikkonen is trying to take this around the outside. There's been a car off in front. There's nearly contact, and now they have to avoid the number 9 of Gianluca Savi, and they have to be savvy about it as well as they go around him, now into the final sector, into the chicane, and somehow they both get through without any contact, although Raitinen's gone deep at the chicane, and Savi's going to have him back, I think. I think he's just been for a ride over the curbs.
Yeah, a bit of a very awkward scene of events there. But we're going to have a look at what happened to Savi. So coming out of turn 10, everything looked pretty normal. And a little bit of a curb, not too much of an issue. Just got a bit caught out by that number 4. And taking a little bit of time to get that car going again.
Trying to get it in gear. But to be honest, the last time I saw anything that small and red spinning like that with smoke in it, I was watching the Red Arrows at an air show, and he's done quite the rendition, to be honest with you, but still solid stuff to avoid the car in front of him, and he really did do some quick thinking there. Mario Medeo's going to have to do some quick thinking here, to be honest, because Nacho Salas is really close to the back of him now, and he's starting to stir it up, to be honest. I mean, he's only one letter swap away from being called Nacho Salsa, to be honest. So I think someone needs to do some naming somewhere or mess with his iRacing profile. But still, he's certainly mixing it up anyway. We'll wonder if he's going to dip his nose down the inside and have a look at Mario Medeo here. We look back now from the bright yellow machine to the bright green machine. Cars 2 and 1, of course, signifying that they are the first and second of the iRatings in this race. I'm going to have a quick scan actually to what their iRatings are. We've got 4,204 for Mario Medeo, 5,211 for Nacho Salas. So very, very high I ratings. And there's no one else in the field above 3,000 I rating. So it really shows you why they are the class of the field. No one else even above 2.5, actually. So these two definitely the class of the field on paper, and they're certainly showing it at the moment. I mean, they're 7.5 seconds clear of David Rolliston.
Yeah, they really have pulled away. And I think Mario, if anything, has kind of thrown it away. But there's a 13 again. Farazin going very wide, causing a bit of a kerfuffle around the final corner. People trying to avoid him. It's very, very sketchy going around that final corner. They're going 3 wide in the background, while these two go 2 wide into turn 1. We're going to have 5 different cars switching positions with each other. About for 7th place, there's a lock up there from, I think that's Garrow in the number 7 car. Javier on a pretty decent comeback so far, up to 9th place after we saw him down in, I think, 16th was his lowest place. So doing well so far, but into turn 1 was not ideal for him at all. But still manages to keep that top 10 place. And Reitinen now trying to overtake Savvy, who has dropped back massively after that earlier mistake.
That's it. I think we saw the same at Rudskogen last time out as well. The fact that some of these drivers will fly up the order, then all of a sudden make one mistake, drop back down, and then we'll see an amazing comeback drive again through the order. There's so much chopping and changing here as Reitinen decides to become very well acquainted with that curb for just a moment there. I mean, you don't want to hit that at the best of times, do you, Aaron? But in a radical like this, it'll feel like the shock wants to leave the front right arch.
Yeah, and I can't imagine how, if that happened in real life, their back bottoms would have been crushed and, well, turned into dust probably. That probably must not have been comfortable, even just being in the car alone. And there's Savvy really struggling with his rear. Bit strange. But anyway, Reitinen going for a move. Opportunistic, but Savvy's not going to give up. There's a little bit of contact. Is this going to allow Javier, who gets shoved on? And there's Savvy doing his best Tony Hawk's impression. Very, very difficult to follow what just happened around those 2 corners. We had many position changes.
Savvy really didn't like the fact that Reitinen went past him, but it was it almost seemed like a bit of desperate retaliation to go back down the inside there. He's very close to them. He tries to go through the middle of Reitinen as well, and it's just, it seemed a little bit desperate in retaliation from Savvy. He realised he made the mistake. He was losing places, and then after that, it just got a little bit silly. He didn't need to go back down the inside into the chicane. He could have waited till the exit, got in the slipstream. He eventually ended up doing that, but then just went for a gap that wasn't really there. You don't want to take these things 4 wide. They may be about the width of an ant, but you really don't want to push the limits with it. And now, Mattia Ferrazin, despite watching a couple of mistakes from him over the last few laps, he's managed to come forward as, no!
Savvy, no!
Well, Reitinen closed the gap in fairness. I think Savvy had all right to try and put his nose in there, and Reitinen didn't. He must have just not seen that he was there and just closed the door on the exit. He came back across the apex, and still the battle goes on here, though, Aaron, because we've got Garrow now ahead of Vieira and Catalani.
Yeah, everyone wanting a piece of that 7th place as a Farazin. Now just running away with it. Now it's the battle for 8th place. But yeah, I don't really know who to put on the... Okay, well, I don't really know who to put the blame on for that one. Because Reitinen was ahead going into the corner, and then Savvy sort of stuck his nose there, sort of unnecessarily. It was...
Yeah,
it's a difficult one.
It was 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. Let's go for that, because Savvy maybe went for the move a little bit late. Shouldn't have put his nose down the inside on the apex like that, or could have just been patient on the exit. But then at the same time, you had Reitinen really cutting across the nose of the car behind him, trying to sort of get a cutback. But maybe it was just innocent. He didn't know he was there. It's one of those corners. It's really tight on the way in, then it opens up on the way out, and you always see people try and get cutbacks there. So fair play to them. They were just trying to find gaps, and the 2 plans just didn't merge. Mario Medeo's plan, well, he doesn't really want it to merge with anybody else's, and it doesn't have to at the moment. He's doing a fantastic job in car 2, right at the front of the field. He's now gapped Nacho Salas by 1.1 seconds. So the slipstream is still going to be there, but it's not going to be massive, is it? It's not going to be enough for Nacho to catch up to him.
Oh. Going very wide there at turn 10. I do.
Yeah.
These guys really are just trading time. Like, again, we saw them within about 2/10 of each other about 5 laps ago. And now they're... there, that's number 3 Zyga. Again.
Well, this was on the exit of a corner this time, not on the way in. So that's a different trick in his book.
Yeah, it's really not been a great race for him at all. He's had a few incidents with other cars and has
Yeah.
now slipped all the way back to 15th, which, I mean, considering the race he's had down 3 places isn't actually too bad. But this is a man trying to give us a little bit of a comeback. Javier moving himself up into 7th place. He's had an absolutely fantastic comeback, I must say. Making the move on Farazin a little bit more difficult than he'd like, but gets it done nonetheless. He is showing really, really good pace at the moment, and realistically should probably be fighting for the top 6 positions, but just didn't really have the luck in this race. He's not really put a foot wrong himself, and now is going to try and gap the cars behind him as they try and battle now for that elusive 8th place. As we've seen over the past few laps, people really, really want that 8th place, but also at the same time don't want it at all.
It's odd, isn't it? I've never seen 8th place so highly contested as if it's the most important position on the circuit. But yeah, you're right. Javier Garro doing a great job at the minute. There was either someone smacking a curb or another radical behind, and by the evidence of the 2 cars coming out of the corner together, clearly it was a curb. Mario Medeo is about to start the final lap of the race, though. He's just coming down into the long, sweeping left-hander at the end of the lap, although we're actually running the tight left-hander for this race. Now, I can tell you from personal experience, they don't run that corner anymore, actually. That is gone. They've completely built a wall over where that corner used to be, and they always use the long sweeper all the way around now like it used to be. And for some reason, that hairpin has been outlawed. Maybe the Spaniards couldn't build cars with too tight a turning circle or something. But anyway, to be honest, I've seen TCR cars try and struggle around that corner, and it's painful to watch. Mario Medeo isn't painful to watch, though. He's having a great run, and he's now in the lead by 9/10 of a second over Nacho Salas there. You can see the gap as they cross the line now. Mario Medeo is already starting the final lap of this race. I can't believe how quickly these fly by, Aaron.
Yeah, these races really do go by in about 30 minutes. They really do fly by. And it's great fun to watch, great action. I think you said last week, it does feel like we should be moving on to race 2 after this one's finished.
Yeah, with the reverse grid.
Yeah.
Or maybe not.
Oh,
but then again, if you put Johannes at the front of the grid, he can only send it on himself. But we'll have to see for another time. I'm joking. If Johannes watches this back, I'm sorry. I'm only joking, mate. Anyway, we've got a little bit of a battle going on between William Doss and Ryan Clermont, actually, for 4th position at the minute. And then further back, 8th place is still being contested as well. Here is Ryan Clermont and William Doss. William's gone round the outside, and he's now stuck to the inside line. He's not running out wide, though, and he's giving Clermont the room. They stay side by side down towards Verth, the left-hander before they go up the hill, and backing out of it is William Doss. Well, then he says, well, if you're going to muck it up, mate, I'll have a go again. Let's try this one more time. Clermont side by side. Now Clermont has the inside. Is Doss going to get a cutback? He's going to certainly go for one. He's going to get on the power earlier. Now he's on the right-hand side of him, all the way down to the hairpin. Who's going to brake earlier and who's going to brake later? We'll have to come back to it because Mario Medeo is about to enter the final couple of corners. And, well, it wasn't the smoothest ride for him at Rudskogen last time out in the broadcasted race, but he's done a great job here. He's been caught up very much so by Nacho Salas, but it's not going to be enough to take the win. Around the final corner, the Argentinian Mario Medeo takes the win at Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya, here in week 6 of the Radical Racing Challenge on Apex Racing TV. And that was a lovely, tidy drive. David Rolliston's going to grab 3rd, and William Doss has done it. He's got ahead of Clermont for 4th position, and the Canadian is demoted a place. William Doss, very well done indeed. Lovely drive in the end, that was. He started 8th on the grid as well. Guy Robertson's also come up from 10th on the grid to finish in 6th. Javier Garro recovers to be car 7, P7 ahead of Mattia Ferrazin. Or it might be Mattia Ferrazin. Yes, it looks like he's holding on to 8th position for now. And he's actually gapped the cars behind him as well. Fidel Aparicio's had a problem. But there is Garro across the line. And, well, I must say, considering how hard that car got hit at the beginning, that's a really good recovery drive, isn't it, Aaron? You've been mentioning it all race, but I have to back it up. That was an absolute storm back through the field.
Yeah, going from 16th, facing the wrong way, being absolutely slapped, I think is the right word to say, by Zygot, and finishing inside the top 7. That's a very, very good result. And yeah, it was very topsy-turvy from a lot of these drivers, to be honest, but it made for some great... Oh, dear.
Okay, so, well... No, I was going to make a joke then, but I'm not. Anthony Lagoye certainly not happy with somebody in that race. I'm not sure whether he meant to do that or not, but yeah, it was still a hell of a lot of fun, that one. Really good stuff to watch. And, well, here is your result. Mario Medeo takes the win by just under 7/10 of a second from Nacho Salas. David Rolliston rounds out the podium, but you can clearly see the difference in pace there. He was 9.4 seconds off the lead. William Doss finishes in 4th place ahead of Ryan Clermont. Guy Robertson is 6th ahead of Javier Garro. Mattia Ferrazin, Giovanni Catalani, and then Lucas Vieira round out the top 10. Fidel Aparicio was 11th ahead of David Hugeland, who we didn't really see in that race, to be honest with you. Majid Garbawi recovers to 13th place ahead of Johannes Zeigert. Then Anthony Lagoye was 15th, with Sauli Reitinen in 16th. Gianluca Savi 17th, and Rodrigue Huiz, the Frenchman, finishing in 18th place. Behind him, we had Steve Simpson in 19th, and then we had Adelmo Jr., Lawrence Reagan, and Mark Zubarev, but all of those guys not finishing the race. Well, plenty to watch there, Aaron, and I mean, we do often say that you don't always need a big grid to have a lot of action, but that certainly proved quite the opposite there, though. So much to look at throughout that one, and One Make Racing once again proving how good it is.
Yeah, it's always such a joy to watch these cars go around a track and just give each other hell. Really, it's so much fun because you don't really know what's going to happen next, and that's why this series is so much fun to watch, to commentate over, to drive even sometimes. And yeah, these guys gave an absolutely amazing showing today, and I can't wait for next week.
Yes, indeed. And I don't actually have the schedule to hand, but I'd be intrigued to see where we go next week because, admittedly, these are cars that don't always sort of make me jump with joy that we're going to be seeing them, you know, and it's just a category of cars that I've never really had the interest in driving or racing, to be honest. But still, I think the actual racing itself that they produce has been absolutely spot on, and I definitely will be tuning into Apex Racing TV to be catching them next week as well. Gives me more to watch on my Friday night. Then again, I may as well jump into the box again. I don't often do much on Friday nights, but they tend to be quite exclusively reserved for if I need to travel anywhere. So, yeah, I tend to keep them to one side. But I mean, well, if we had to pick, let's say, Aaron, if we had to look at a driver of the race for that, I don't think I'd be able to pick one because there were so many recoveries. There was 2 drivers in there that gained 8 places, one that gained 7, another one that gained 7 actually. There was a bunch of fantastic drives through the order with that one.
Yeah, even though Javier lost 2 places, he put on a fantastic drive and managed to avoid all of that midfield chaos and still finish inside the top 7. So I'm going to give it to him. I mean, there's a lot of contenders for it. I mean, there were so many people today who produced some amazing racing, but Javier's comeback was, yeah, in my opinion, undisputable driver of the day.
Yeah, I think I'm going to agree on that one, especially because the initial incident not being his fault. You know, he had to pick himself up, dust himself off, and get on with the job at hand. And we see him here even inside the top 5 going into turn 1. And from then on, unfortunately, it just went downhill after the contact near the end of the lap. Lovely scenes here. And was that actually Johannes Zeigert going straight on there at the first corner in the opening corner? I think that no, I don't think it was actually. I think he's just overtaken said car, which came back on in the slow motion replay there. But yeah, I think that would have set the tone early on if it was Johannes. We could have all sort of expected it slightly, but still. And I mean, as you said, the cars are so difficult to drive, and well, we hopefully will get more action from them and similar action next time out. That is all we have time for here tonight, though, on Apex Racing TV. Thank you very much, Aaron. Always a pleasure to work with you, mate. Really good laugh these past few weeks. Thanks very much to Alex Simpson as well, the legend himself, for being on production. It's so long since Alex and I have worked together on a broadcast, and, well, he was the first person I ever worked with on a broadcast back in 2018 as well. I've been Chaz Draycott. This has been Apex Racing TV, the Radical Racing Challenge, Week 6 at Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya. We'll hopefully catch you next week.